Hi there, welcome to Caribou Country Lifestyle. My name is Cheryl. Today I'm out in the berry side of the garden amongst quite a few weeds. I have weeded most of this side, but this is the last little bit. And talking about weeds, this is a good time to be digging up your weeds. And because of that, we would be following the last quarter to the new moon. And that is from May 20th to May 26th. And I still have a couple of days before I get to May 26th. So I'm hoping to tackle especially these dandelions in here before they go to seed. Because once they go to seed, most of the ones that are in my lawn have went to seed. Once they go to seed, they blow all over the place and they grow more dandelions. So I'd like to get this tackled today and be done with it. When you're following the lunar cycle, not everything applies in the list. Like for instance, the last quarter to the new moon, which is where we are right now, it would be, which I'm doing today, weed and cultivate for weed suppression. Another one is inventory and order seeds, design your garden, harvest for drying, prune for decrease of growth, and mow lawns to slow growth. So some of these things don't even apply at this time, but the first one does, weed and cultivate for weed suppression. So this is what I want to be doing for this weekend. I do have a few weeds that I need to also deal with in my raised beds over on the garden area, and I think I have a few in my other two long beds where I had planted my potatoes last weekend. So when you're following this, every month you could be following whatever the lunar phases are. You could be following that of whatever applies. So each month the list could apply to you and your garden. Last quarter to the new moon. Then we go to the new moon and the first quarter, May the 26th. Until June the 3rd, and that list would be plant seeds that produce seeds outside their fruit, like arugula, basil, broccoli, cabbage, lettuce, radicchio, spinach, most herbs. You could also turn the soil between the new and full moons when there is less moisture in the soil. You could prune to rejuvenation. So that might be something that I would follow if I wanted to do another succession sowing of arugula, maybe the broccoli, some other lettuces, another spinach, another row of spinach. Then you have an ongoing crop of your spinach and your lettuce. And so when your first crop, which I would have planted 3 weeks to a month ago, that would be picked first. Then 3 weeks later or so, I would be able to start picking my next crop of lettuce. So you could succession sow following the moons on whatever applies to that. After that first quarter, then you're going to go to the first quarter to the full moon, and that is the one I will be following on June the 3rd to June the 11th, when I'm going to be planting my above ground annuals, my flowers that I have, the ones that I've started, ones that I've purchased. Plant above ground annuals with seeds inside their fruit, like beans, melons, peas, peppers, squashes, and tomatoes. Those are the things that I'm going to be planting between June the 3rd and June the 11th. So it changes every month, but it applies to you for certain things. It may not apply for everything that's on the list. And what I will do is I will put this list in the description below. What applies for right now and what applies for the next phase is the last quarter to the new moon is right now, and then the new moon to the first quarter. I will put that in the description below with those dates, and then I will include the other dates that would follow for each of these lunar cycle to-do list. And I will put that in the description below, and then when I go to plant my first quarter to the full moon, I will put those dates in as well. And then that way you'll have something in the description that would help you be able to have that to follow. And like I say, just look at your calendar. There's some calendars that actually say new moon to the first quarter. Some just show the first quarter of the moon, and then your new moon would be a full moon. So I'm gonna get started getting these weeds picked out of here, and then we'll come back and take a look at what it looks like once I get everything cleaned up and fill my bucket up with some weeds. We're back on day 2. Yesterday I was weeding out all these dandelions and quackgrass out around through this bark mulch, and I think I can knock the rest of this out today. I probably filled 3 of these 5-gallon buckets just with dandelions and quackgrass out of here. But once I get this out of here, I mean, last year Jamie tried spraying it, which I'm not a big fan of, because I'm afraid that if there's ever so slight wind, it's going to, these plants won't make it and they will die. So I think doing it this way is a lot harder work, but it's going to be more manageable in the end, because then all I have to do is just dig up the odd one here, like I have over on in the raised garden bed. I can just pop out weeds here and there. As long as you're on top of it, it's definitely more manageable. And some of these dandelion plants are huge. And you got to get under them too. I have my dandelion weed digger, and sometimes I'm breaking the root off. I haven't really got under it very good, but I mean, I'm doing the best that I can, and at least I'm getting them out of here. And then this quackgrass, it's just got roots on it like you would not believe, but it actually comes out pretty good, and I find that I'm getting the most of it. I may not be getting all of it, but I am definitely getting the most. So today I have already watered my raised beds because I planted seeds last weekend. I did my root vegetables, so I planted or watered those beds. I've also picked up a few plants from the nursery, and I'm going to show you that too. We'll go over to the garden and take a little look and see what's been coming up and what is growing. My arugula that I have planted is doing really good, so I'm super happy about that. I actually bought arugula in the store, and I find that I really like it. I just assumed I didn't like arugula. Don't assume anything, because you know what that does. It makes an ass out of you and me. So anyways, I really enjoy it, so I think I'm going to plant some more so I can have more successions of that arugula, because I don't know if you can just cut it at the base and it's going to keep growing. That I don't know about arugula. If anybody knows and has grown arugula, if they could let me know if that's something, because I can pick leaves from my butter crunch lettuce and my romaine, and it just keeps growing, but I don't know how that works with the arugula. So please let me know if you know too much about growing arugula and how that works. If you can do that, that would be, if I can get away with that, that's awesome. If not, I mean, so what? I plant some more arugula. Not the end of the world, really. So yeah, it shouldn't take me long to get through the rest of this. And I actually like picking this quackgrass because it actually comes out quite easy, and I find that I'm getting most of the roots with it. So that's awesome. And I noticed also that I'm starting to get flowers on my strawberries, so it won't be long, and then I'm going to have to get my hoops on my strawberry plants so that the birds don't get at them. But there is this weed, and this weed didn't start growing in here until after we had the pigs in this area. And the reason we put the pigs in this spot first was so that they could till up this area, and then I was able to have this be a berry side. And so they did all the tilling up, but there's a weed in here after they were in here, and it just goes absolutely nuts. So I'm trying to get most of the root on that, because, and it ends up with these little tiny little buttercup flowers on it. It's not a dandelion. I don't know what the heck it is. And I've never seen it before until now. So I don't know what was in that pig's poop that made this weed, but it's not nice. It's pretty invasive, that's for sure. So, trying to get as much of the root on that, and it's really stringy stuff. But I've noticed since we put the bark mulch in, there hasn't been as much of it. So that is good, but I still haven't figured out what the heck it is. It's mostly over there on that back retaining wall behind my raspberries. So a bit of it has filtered in, and it's almost into my strawberries. So I do need to get this out before it takes over on my strawberries, which is not going to be nice. And we have a few strawberry plants that have filtered their way out of this row, so I'm going to have to guide those back into the bed, the strawberry bed. So, oh good, I'm getting most of this out. So we will come back once I get the rest of these weeds out, because I mean, I like to talk, but I can only talk so much. Okay, got this all weeded out, looking good. Got a few volunteer raspberries poking up around my hascap here too. My other hascap over there. My strawberries looking good. And there's my other elderberry. And I finally found my blueberries. So blueberry there, and another little blueberry there. Can barely see this one. Let's get up a little closer. There it is. This is my bed in the front of the house, and look at this. I left these Dusty Miller in the ground. This is a columbine, another columbine. There's a Dusty Miller amongst some pansies that reseeded themselves. Another columbine. But these Dusty Millers, I left throughout the winter, and they're coming back. I had no idea that this would happen. I may never have to plant dusty millers again. So we're over in the garden side and we're gonna take a look. So this is my purple sprouting broccoli. Doing really well. In behind it, these are my Mother's Day plants. So this first plant, that is from my son, Austin, and this is a Sanetti. I've never heard of it before. It's quite pretty. This is from my youngest son, Jaden, for Mother's Day. And then all of these are from my husband. I've got some onions I ended up buying, some dianthus, portulaca. Behind the portulaca is verbena. Then I've got cauliflower. In the front, I have a red cabbage. Behind that is a stone head cabbage. And then in front of that is the cheddar cauliflower. And these ones in the back, those are leeks. I also got these two hanging baskets. And they have petunias, calabricoa, and verbena in them. And they're both the same. Just that this verbena is a pink, and this is more of a corally peach color. Very pretty. Over here is the asparagus. I only got a few stalks on it, and I'm letting the rest go to fern. In behind here, my little cilantro. There are some little cilantro sprouts coming out there on that side, but on this side I don't have anything as of yet on that cilantro. They were two different types of cilantro. But over here I have some dill coming in behind and another little patch of dill too. This is my thyme that came back. And then here are, what are these? The collard greens. And they are just a little sporadic, kind of here and there, which is okay because I only planted a couple of seeds every 6 inches and then I was going to have to space them out anyways. Over here is my Bloomsdale spinach. Little sprouts kind of here and there poking through. This is where I planted my beets and my carrots last weekend. Nothing there. But here where I planted my rutabagas, I have one little sprout there, another one coming up, another sprout there, and then one here at the end. So that's exciting. And let's come over here. My Chinese toi choy, doing really well. This one here, what was this that I planted? Oh shoot, sorry. This is my rutabagas. These are my white kohlrabi. No wonder they're further along. I planted those 2 weeks ago. And okay, no rutabagas. Sorry, my mistake. Okay, let's come over here. The Hakiri salad turnips are coming along great. I just thinned them out, so they are doing well. And then down here, this is the arugula growing in. Going wonderful. My volunteer onions that reseeded themselves. And then this is beets that I planted last weekend. Nothing yet. We have a couple of sprouts of Swiss chard. I have one there, a couple more there, and that's been it so far. Not very plentiful. These were the carrots I just planted, so nothing as of yet. On this side, this is the purple onions, and I have a little sprout there. not too much going on. These were the carrots and beets that I planted. But these are my annual bunching green onions, and these were the seeds that I saved from my own. And so they're coming along nicely. And then here we have the garlic is looking really good. And nothing for radishes. I just planted them on Monday, which is almost a week ago, but look at these cute little bleeding hearts. Those are so pretty. This is the bleeding heart I got from my sister, and this is a monk's hood perennial. They'll have purple and white flowers. I got that from my sister. I've got some different Asiatic lilies coming back in my circular bed. And then I planted a rosemary. This is a rosemary that I had got for Mother's Day as well. So I planted that. No, actually, that wasn't for Mother's Day. I bought that when I went to Horsefly on a garden tour. And then another lily over here. On these beds, I'll move my gloves. Here I have my dwarf curled kale. I've thinned that out. This is the purple Vienna kohlrabi. All along here, that's doing well. And I have here, this was the lacinato kale, the dinosaur kale. Got a few sprouts there coming up. Got an onion coming in here. I had onions there last year, and so it's come up. This is a volunteer garlic here, and I just left it. And this is where I planted more beets and carrots, but nothing coming up there. This is the butter crunch lettuce. It's doing quite well. And then here's where I planted my radishes. I have a little sprout here, a couple more little sprouts there, another little sprout, little babies coming up, another one, another one, another one. But I don't see anything up for, that was the daikon radish, the purple daikon radish. But if we come over this side, this is the prize head lettuce. And I was saying it's a head lettuce, but it has the red tinge on it, and you can see the red tinge on the leaves. I pulled out my corn salad. It ended up going to flower, so I pulled it out and gave it to my chickens. But in behind, this is the countryside spinach, the baby spinach, and it's coming along really nice. So that's it for this weekend. Got a lot done as far as getting those weeds pulled out, and got my lawn mowed too, so I really wanted to get those things done. And then did a little bit in the garden here, just basically planting that rosemary. I wanted to get that in the garden, but I also want to plant my leeks in my beds. That's why I have these plants out here. They were already out in the elements when I went to the nursery to pick them out, so they're pretty much already acclimatized, and I don't have to worry about that. But I want to get these into the garden beds and get them going, so I will be planting those too. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you liked this video, and we'll talk again soon. Bye for now.